Welcome in everyone, and welcome to another show. Happy Monday. Thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for joining in. I am. Oh, oh boy, I'm hearing a lot of echoes. Sorry, chat. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I figured that was going to be. Man, I'm so all over the place. We got a lot to cover today, though, because there were a lot of games that happened over the weekend, including a Game 7 from the World Series. Um, Bunch of games from the NFL, bunch of games from the NBA, a lot of news to cover out of the NFL actually coming out of the weekend. Some injuries to talk about, some key injuries. In fact, I might actually, depending on how bad the injuries are, might affect um, certain players' seasons. So, without further ado, before we get into all those details, if you are on any other the other platforms other than Rumble, if you're on YouTube, Twitch, X, if you listen to the audio version on Spotify, and you want to listen to or if you want to see everything uncensored live, head on over to Rumble and download the Rumble app. It is your one-stop shop, not only for me, but for everybody that is on Rumble, including myself, um, Alex Jones, uh, Dr. Disrespect, Louder with Crowder. You got the whole list. You also got the Rumble lineup that goes all the way through um, every single day. Um, so head on over there. You can download it on your phone, your tablet, your smart TV, any device that you want to be watching any of your favorite streamers on Rumble. But before and also, before we get into anything else, if you wouldn't mind joining me in a prayer real quick, and we'll get this day started. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, I want to thank you for another day. I would like to thank you that we're moving into a new week. Um, and I would like to ask that you bring some guidance not only onto myself, but to the viewers that are watching this live show. Um, I'd like to appreciate each and every single one of them that are watching. Please bless and guide them throughout this week, guide their interactions, guide their thoughts, guide their words as we pray, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. The Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Alrighty. Let's get into it, shall we? We are going to start off by giving a huge shout out to Game 7 of the World Series, and a shout out to both teams for completely laying their um, hearts on the line for the most part. Um, I mean, what more needs to be said about both of these teams? I mean, they played their hearts out. Um, Unfortunately for the Blue Jays, they kind of fell short. Um, and benches kind of cleared during that game. So I have a feeling come next season it's going to be a lot of um, I'm not going to say bad blood. This is kind of early on and kind of remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens come next season. But I would circle the first matchup going into next season between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, especially if they continue to keep the main group of guys from both of these squads. There's probably just going to be a little bit of bad blood just because there was a little bit of a hullabaloo during the seventh inning, I want to say, um, where kind of the bench is cleared and the bullpens cleared and stuff like that. So There was a little bit of some interesting action there. Um, I'm not going to speculate too much. I don't know how much of it was intentional. Um, like I like I said, I only kind of like heard a little bit of what was going on. I didn't actually get to see all of what happened, which I mean, who really knows? It's kind of hard to really tell. But anyways, Dodgers end up getting the win. Congrats to the Dodgers for being back-to-back World Series champions, the first time to do that on the road. There's like a couple of things. It's the first time since the Yankees went back-to-back, and the first time that the Dodgers, or excuse me, first time that a team has done it on the road in terms of back-to-back since I want to say I saw something on the social somewhere, but I want to say it was like uh, 1976 or 1978, and it was the Reds or something like that. I could be wrong, but anyways, Yamamoto ended up getting the MVP. Had three key games, three key wins in the World Series. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, the Blue Jays fell short. Um, for all the hype that they had, this was a very, very good matchup. Um, as you could tell, it went all the way to 7 games, so you can't really um, fault or blame anybody for not fighting hard and whatnot. This like even Game 7 went to extended innings to decide who ended up being the winner in this one. Um, yeah, just a huge game, 5-4 final score in Toronto. Um, MLB season is done, moving into the off season for everybody. Um, Obviously, Dodgers ended up having a parade yesterday, I think, and um, going to be soon as we get some key news and key free agency stuff coming out of the MLB, we'll try to announce that as soon as we can get that. But I think it's probably going to take about a week to 2 weeks for everybody to kind of digress from the the recent season, and we'll kind of go from there. Um, but that's going to be it coming from the MLB for this season. And with that, we're going to be moving on to some close key games coming out of the NFL. Starting with one that I was not expecting both teams to have some high scoring. Um, and maybe I was thinking maybe it was because Joe Burrow was back, but Joe Flacco had himself a day with passing yards. My goodness. Um, but yeah, it's how do I kind of break this down? I guess Caleb Williams as a not as rookie, but a young star coming up. He ended the day 20 of 34 for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. Joe Flacco had himself a day 31 of 47 for 470 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So a huge day from both quarterbacks. Even though the Bears find a way to get a win, it looks like they ended up having some trickery too. Um, let's see, 293 yards compared to 449. You would think that Bengals would have found a way to win, but it was ultimately the rushing yards once again that is just brutal to teams these weeks. My goodness. 283 rushing yards compared to 46 rushing yards. Like solely relying on the passing game is not a recipe for success. So Flacco ended up getting sacked 3 times as well. But one of the reasons why I say that, um, in terms of a surprise score, 17-20 going into half, just a high scoring game all the way around. Doesn't really seem like the defenses were doing too much, even though there were a couple of turnovers thrown by Joe Flacco and um, even a fumble lost by Joe Flacco, it looks like. But outside of that, not a ton of um, key deciding factors here. Um, Third down efficiency looked to be in favor of the Chicago Bears, 8 of 15 to the Bengals, 5 out of 10. Both were 100% on fourth down efficiency. It looks like time of possession favored the Bears too, so that's another key factor. In my personal opinion, I think time of possession is huge. Um, let's see, and then the turnovers obviously were big factors into the time of possession favoring. But the Chicago Bears move into the middle of their division, moving up to 5-3. Bengals fall to 3-6, and at the bottom half of their division, somehow tied with Baltimore. But I mean, that division is still looking to be pretty stacked. So don't count any of those teams out of the runnings for playoffs just yet. But yeah, 47-42 is your final score. Up beating um, ended up beating the Browns last week, or no. No, it was the surprise score because they lost to the Jets the week before. And you would think that they would come back into this week and try to figure out a win. I mean, they were close, but ultimately lost by 5 points. So anyhow, moving on into one score that I was not expecting just because of how well the Colts had been playing all season. You look at the you look at the Colts and the Steelers. Um, Colts ultimately only scored 20 points all game. They were basically blanked in the second and third quarters, but um, yeah, Daniel Jones just did not. I wouldn't really say didn't play well. It just his touchdowns didn't show. Oh, hit the well, and both teams barely had any rushing yards all game. Oh my gosh, they had a couple of key contributors that go for over 115 yards in terms of receiving. But what was the deciding factor here? Fumbles. Oh, I guess the sacks. Daniel Jones ended up getting sacked 5 times. Aaron Rodgers ended up getting sacked 3 times. So there's your key difference there. I mean, not a huge difference, but still a difference nonetheless. And then you got, oh, okay, there it is. The turnover margin ends up being in favor of the Steelers. Jeez. They had 4 fumbles and ended up losing it 3 times. That's crazy. Yikes. Wow. All right. But yeah, Daniel Jones ended up going 31 of 50 for 342 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Had a really bad QBR rating. I mean, it was just not. I don't think it was just his day yesterday. The Steelers defense were having their way with him for the most part. And then Aaron Rodgers on the other side ended the day with 25 out of 35, 203 yards, 1 touchdown, QBR of 60.7. This kind of remains to be seen, but I think one one bad game, in my opinion, I don't think is going to set the Colts back at all. I think they're still, if I remember correctly, I think they're still top of their division. I want to say, um, I mean, they're 7-2. I think they're the only 7-2 team in the entire league. I think got the best league in the or got the best record in the NFL right now. I think is what it is. Um, oh shit, that's not what I want to do. Excuse me. Open that in a different tab. There we go. Oh, the Patriots are 7-2, and the Broncos. Okay, so a lot of two-loss teams. Same with the Bills, but Bills have had the bye. I don't think the Patriots have had a bye yet. So, um, but anyhow, let's see. Um, so there goes best record in NFL, I guess. But yeah, a lot of two-loss teams now, but Colts definitely not out of it. But yeah, they end up falling to 7-2. Pittsburgh Steelers end up going up to 5-3. Um, and with that, I'm going to kind of move into the Broncos and Texans because, um, wow, and it looks like the Texans might have had a shot towards the end of the game to come back and win. But they ended up getting blanked in the fourth quarter. Broncos, Bo Nix ended up going 18 of 37 for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and only got sacked once, it looks like. So, good day from Bo Nix. He ended up throwing to Harvey 5 times for 51 yards and a touchdown, and threw only once to Cortland Sutton, who ended up taking it 30 yards for a touchdown. Um, C.J. Stroud on the other side ended up going 6 for 10 for 79 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Got sacked twice, and looks like he ended up leaving the game early as well. Let me take a look real quick. Oh, he must have gotten called out for concussion protocol. Yep, that sucks. But unfortunately for them, it was unfortunate for them because it really mattered whether or not he was going to be in or not. Because it looks like they ended up only falling short by 3 points to the Broncos. Um, Broncos were staying hot, man. Bo Nix, I think, is having himself a season as far as I recall. Um, Rushing yards in favor of the Denver Broncos. Uh, Turnovers not really in their favor. In fact, well, it looks like they ended up having a tie in terms of, oh, never mind. And they didn't have time of possession in their favor either. Houston had the ball for the majority of the game. Third down efficiency ended up being the main factor here. 3 of 17 for the Texans, 6 of 15 for the Broncos, who didn't ultimately ever go for it on fourth down. But um, yeah, who is that? Davis Mills. Davis Mills ended up filling in and ended up going 17 of 30 for 137 yards. Got also sacked twice. Um, I would say a decent QBR rating of a 51.6. Um, But yeah, getting sacked 4 times between two quarterbacks, that's going to be a key factor there as well in terms of whether or not you're going to win or lose your game here. Um, yeah, 18-15, the final score in Texas. Another reason why I'm covering this one is just because I wasn't expecting this one to be as close as it was. Um, couple couple of reasons for that. Um, thought the in terms of the thought process, um, I didn't really expect the Texans to come in and have a huge, um, well, to keep it close. Number one, number two. I mean, the Broncos have been hot the past couple of weeks, so maybe this was kind of like a um, defining game for the Broncos in terms of finding a way to win. Um, but um, yeah, end of the day, I wasn't really. I was expecting kind of a lot more points to be scored for the Broncos. I was not expecting, um, I guess, a lot of field goals, I should say. But defense is coming up big when um, in key moments, so it ended up ultimately being in favor of the Broncos here. Um, yeah, that's kind of it from that game. Final in Houston, as I kind of said before, 18-15, as the Denver Broncos take the win. Moving on into Lambeau, this was this was an interesting score to see, just because um, a how close it was, b it's the Carolina Panthers that end up taking the win in Lambeau Field, which is shocking. Um, Rico Dowdle's big day. That's crazy. Um, but anyhow, give me the box score real quick. Bryce Young, wow, both quarterbacks did not throw for any touchdowns. That's crazy. 163 rushing yards for the Panthers. Oh my gosh, he must have broke a couple. Yeah, he must have broke a couple for touchdowns. That's crazy. I would say a couple big ones. I don't really remember um, the big yards um, off the top of my head, but Bryce Young ended up going 11 of 20 for 102 yards, one interception, ended up getting sacked once, but um, didn't really lose any yards. Jordan Love, on the other hand, ended up going 26 of 37 for 273 yards. And with that, you would think that they would have won this game, but something big must have happened in the fourth. That touchdown, turnover on downs. That's crazy. Fumble, interception. So it looks like the turnovers were in favor of. Wow. The Carolina Panthers defense coming up big, only forcing not only 13 points, but winning in the turnover battle, too. My goodness. Um, wow. And it looks like the time possession was fairly even, but um, not much to speak of. Once again, as I was kind of saying, the surprising score is the fact that the Green Bay Packers did not even win this game in Lambeau. Like, this isn't an interdivision matchup, so and the kind of the excuse me, the Carolina Panthers have been kind of, I would say, mediocre in terms of how well that they've been playing over the past few seasons. Even um, I don't know. It's crazy to think about in terms of the fact that Green Bay with Micah Parsons, you would think that they would win this game kind of soundly. Um, but turns out that was not really much of the case. In fact, he only got sacked one time. So, I mean, kind of kudos to the Carolina Panthers offensive line to basically keep Micah Parsons in check. But yeah, not really much else to speak of out of this game. I mean, you would think by all the yards that were gained by Green Bay, you would think that they would have figured out a way, but ultimately it ends up being the Carolina Panthers with a late field goal to win the game, um, and go over 500 with a win in Lambeau Field. That's a huge win for Carolina coming out of the weekend. That's crazy. Um, yeah, and if I'm gonna be super honest with you, I wish I kind of had seen some highlights out of this game because this was this was um, a huge surprise score, in my opinion. Um, it's just I don't really know what else to say. It's just you would expect a team that is as good and as hot as the Green Bay Packers were coming into this game, especially at home. You would think that they would find a way to win, but ultimately fell short. And I think they're, I want to say they might still be top of their division right now just because of the tie. Yeah. So I would say half a game above Detroit and Chicago, which that's kind of a shocking look right there. That's insane. Like, my goodness. Um, wow, this playoff picture is going to look so whack. Oh my gosh. Gosh. I mean, just because of win percentage or the percentage here, but where's Detroit? So there's Detroit and Chicago, and because Detroit ended up being Chicago earlier in the season, um, Detroit would get the wow. Detroit would get the basically the last spot if the playoffs were to happen today. Like Detroit would just squeak by and knock the Bears on down out of the playoffs if they were to happen today. But as it stands, we're just finishing out week 9, um, but with that another key, um, yeah, and then for the AFC side, we'll kind of get more into depth on this in a little bit, and then another key game right before Sunday Night Football, um, Bills versus the Chiefs. Um, I would say this is kind of your usual suspect of what we've been seeing over the years, in terms of this matchup in particular. Like, don't don't get it twisted. Like, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season, regardless of when it is. But I mean, granted, when they get that first win, it feels good, right? Ultimately, what it's going to come down to is these two teams are potentially going to see each other come playoff time as well, and this this matchup is going to be huge, just because of not only how many times they've matched up against each other, but in terms of the fact that it just seems like Josh Allen um, has just had the Chiefs' defense's number on them during the regular season, but come playoffs, like something just goes AWOL, completely AWOL for the Bills. I don't know what exactly it is, but just something goes awry and they just fall short. Um, but as we kind of just break down some of the stats from yesterday, I mean, both quarterbacks ended up getting sacked the same amount of times. Um, Obviously, Josh Allen had a higher QBR rating. Some people are going to say that this is once again his MVP kind of season. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's MVP status for either of these players right now. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, that is. Like, yeah, yes, they're playing well, and yes, they're finding ways to win. But once again, I would kind of tip my hat to Drake May if I'm going to be honest. But we'll get more into MVP race, quarterback conversations. We'll get more into that tomorrow. But anyhow, sticking with this game here, um, you got Patrick Mahomes who ended the day 15 of 34 for 250 yards. So I mean, not a key difference to Josh Allen's is 23 of 26 for 273 yards. He ended up throwing for a touchdown, which might have been the key difference in this game, um, outside of the Bills rushing getting one more touchdown than the Kansas City, um, than the Chiefs are rushing. Because in terms of their comparison, the Bills ended up having 3 rushing touchdowns compared to the Chiefs only 2. But another key difference was how many yards on the ground. Um, Bills ended up rushing for 141 yards yesterday, whereas the Chiefs only ended up running for 79. So um, that's kind of a big difference there. And it just in even then, like I mean, they even had a key drive at the very end that had a ball been caught, I think those yards would have been more in favor of the Chiefs and the Bills. But you kind of look at the turnover margin; it was in favor of the Chiefs defense. Like Chiefs defense were um, still having a little bit of fun. Um, but even though the Bills didn't score in the fourth quarter, was not needed for them to score because they ended up getting the win in Buffalo. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to really say 100% who really is, you know. I mean, granted, congratulations to the Bills coming out of the weekend on the win, but um, I think now at this point, halfway through the season, um, I would look to seeing this as a potential postseason matchup. That if history repeats itself in terms of what we've seen in past years from the matchup between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has found a way multiple different times in the postseason to find a way to win, and I mean against the Bills in particular. And I don't know, for some reason the either something doesn't click right or um, one bad play or something, and or they just end up running out of time, and you end up with the Bills end up losing. But I would predict this matchup to happen again in the postseason, and I would hedge my bets that the Chiefs are gonna win that come postseason. But we'll see come postseason if this is even a matchup at all. Um, because the Bills got to find a way to get against the Chiefs. Maybe we'll see this as an AFC championship matchup. But anyhow, um, yeah, Bills end up getting the win 28-21, the final in Buffalo. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. This was not much of a contest to kind of really speak of, unfortunately, um, especially since uh, seven. I want to say 7 minutes 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter. I'm not going to show any of that footage because there's not a need to show the footage of Jane Daniels' injury. But Jane Daniels ended up walking walking away with a dislocated elbow, and it was not pretty to see. I'm sorry, but oof. I I hope that Jane Daniels is okay, and B, I also think I also hope that he can find a way to come back in this season because boy, do the Commanders need him to come back at this point. They're under 500. They fall to 3-6 after losing to the Seahawks last night, and I mean the Seahawks are kind of on fire right now. Like my goodness, um, but I mean we don't really need to break down too much of the stats. I mean a lot of people saw it last night, but it was just pure dominance by Seattle. But anyhow, I'm going to kind of get into this article from ESPN here recent um, as the most recent information that we have on Jane Daniels. This is as of today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That would mean it was probably 11:10 Pacific Standard Time. Washington Commanders' ugly season got a whole lot worse. Shane McDaniels lying on the ground in pain after suffering a dislocated elbow when he was sacked. Um, the article continues as Daniels, the franchise present and future hope for success, and the player who led Washington to its first NFC Championship game appearance since the 1991 season, slowly left the field with an injured arm and a cast. In a little question, one more can go wrong. Um, the Commanders have been devastated by injuries and players' absences since training camp opened. In fact, Daniels and the entire starting offense has not been together since the NFC divisional playoff win against the Detroit Lions in January. But Daniels and the Commanders now have more questions than answers. What does Jane Daniels' recovery look like? What can they do to help him in the future? Why was he still in the game? Was that before he? Oh, got it. Why was he still in the game before he got injured? Because the game was kind of out of hand. Got it. I was like, wait a minute, why is that even a question in this article? But no, I'm totally understanding now because with 7:39 to go, and it's still, and it was still, I want to say it was still 38. Yeah, it was 38-7 at that point in that game because their last touchdown came late. But I mean, yeah, that's it. That's kind of a key question here because I mean, who knows? Um, how does the injury affect Washington's offseason plans? I mean, are they already thinking that it's going to be a off season for the Commanders? I mean, granted they're 3-6, but depending on what their schedule looks like for the rest of the season, they could try to find a way, right? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Who knows? Um, ESPN Commanders reporter John Keem, senior writer. Oh, yes. ESPN Commanders reporter John Keem, senior writer and injury and I can't talk today. Analyst Stephania Bell. Oh no, I was just quoting the people that wrote this article. What is a dislocated elbow? What is the usual timetable for recovery? What are special considerations for quarterbacks? There are three bones. The article just kind of continues into like the elbow injury. Um, in the elbow, there are three bones that make up the joint: the arm bone, two forearm bones. As with any joint, the bony surfaces are lined. Okay, so let's get that. Let's move on from that. Dislocation describes a joint that exceeded its normal range of motion such that the bones are no longer in their normal position, often creating the physical deformity that is so jarring to the eye. And if I'm going to be honest with you, with the way that he went down, he kind of used his arm in a way that it's not normal. So that's kind of why it ends up being a dislocated elbow. Um, and I don't know, had he just used that other arm to just kind of cover up the ball and just kind of allow his shoulder to take the brunt force of him coming down, I think he just stays in that game. Granted, he's trying to fight for, as many yards as possible during that play, so I get it, but it's it's one of those like decision makings that end up deciding, you know, just instant decisions that, end up deciding whether or not he's got a dislocated elbow or whether he, lands on his shoulder. You know what I mean? So would I speculate that it would also be a shoulder injury afterwards? I don't think so, depending on how hard his shoulder hits the ground first. But I mean, he's got the padding on his shoulder for a reason, so um, who knows? Um, it is also extremely painful. Multiple structures can be stretched. Getting back into the article, um, or torn as the bones sit out of alignment. Course of treatment. The recovery timeline are dependent on the extent of trauma created during the dislocation event. Let's see if it covers a timetable at all. Um, I'm trying. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to. Okay, here we go. 6 to 8 weeks. Um, geez. The conservative non-surgical treatment often requires approximately 6 to 8 weeks of recovery, a timeline that is highly individualized depending on the athlete and his history, along with the demands of the sport and the seasonal calendar. Surgical cases, the progression is dependent on the specifics of the surgery, and the timeline would be adjusted outward accordingly. So geez, like the Cam Scattaboo injury from last week, this one he might be done for the season. Um, but I'm not going to speculate too much. But I think, yeah, especially if the Commanders are not going to make playoffs, I don't think he's going to come back because there's week 10 to week 18 remaining in the schedule. I think they also got the trade deadline coming up or it just hit. Um, and um, yeah, it's just a tough loss for the Commanders if I'm going to be honest with you. Um, that's kind of the article was saying, is it as if their season could get any worse? Like my goodness. Seattle ends up finding a win in DC, 38-14, the final score. Um, but yeah, I'll try to keep you guys posted on injury updates um, from Jane Daniels in particular as soon as we get them. Um, but anyhow, just super unfortunate for the Commanders. I'm sorry. Um, yeah. Anyhow, moving into tonight's game in Dallas. Um, Looks like it's going to be an AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. You got the Cardinals going up against the Cowboys. Two very um, interesting teams, I would say. I would say one of them's a little bit more consistent than the other. Looks like according to ESPN um, analytics, they're thinking that the Cowboys are probably going to win this game. I'm not going to say soundly, but they think that it is all in their favor right now. Dallas comes into this game 3-4-1. Cardinals come into this game 2-5, and at the bottom of their division, so they're looking to try to make a statement in Dallas to try to, um, I don't know, to try to, I guess, make their team seem relevant for this season. I guess they are 2-5, so who knows after this game what's going to happen? But I think the Cowboys. Um, I'm not going to say have their work cut out for them, but um, definitely are going to do whatever it takes to try to win this game, especially since, after they gave away Michael Parsons to the Packers, you would think that, the Cowboys would, be having a better season to this point. But, I mean, or at least some people would say you would give your best player away. There's a reason that you would give your best player away. But outside of that, I mean, they just haven't been showing like they have been that kind of caliber team this season. So who knows? I mean, they did tie with, um, yeah, they did tie with the Packers. One, two, three, 5 weeks ago. So somehow they're evenly matched up. But I don't know. If I were to make a score prediction coming into this game, um, as you guys that are following my TikTok kind of already saw, um, I would say, yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting the Seahawks to just go running away with that game. That was crazy. But anyhow, I would say 28-17 would be the final in Dallas, with Dallas taking the win. Um, that's if everything goes. That's if everything goes right. If certain things kind of go wrong, like Dak Prescott doesn't play well or something, which, I mean, over the years, Dak Prescott, I think if Dak Prescott's stat line is going to stay the way that it has been all season, let me look at his stat line real quick. Yeah, he's been throwing for almost 2,100 yards all season, and he's probably going to get to over 2,100 yards tonight. Actually, I'd be hard pressed if he didn't end up getting over 2,100. He might end up actually getting over 2,200 yards tonight, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, 16-5 is his touchdown to interception ratio. I would say that Dak Prescott's probably going to have himself a night tonight. It's going to be hard to really say uh, how big of a game he's going to really have. That really just all depends on how well the Cardinals defense plays, because he's been sacked. He's been sacked 10 times all season. So if anything, that Cowboys offensive line is probably going to um, stay hot in terms of making sure their quarterback doesn't get sacked a lot in this season. But um, we'll see. It's I think one team is also looking to try to fight for a playoff spot in the Dallas Cowboys, while the Cardinals are looking for a game defining moment and a season defining moment to try to keep their potential playoff hopes alive, maybe, or they might be looking into potentially already calling this season a wraps, and um, we'll see what happens. But this is going to be airing on ESPN and ABC, and you got the Manning cast holding it down on a different stream later tonight. So, um, yeah, one of the key games to look out for. And I mean, if it's not close, it's probably not going to be close, but who knows? Um, my score is probably going to be wrong. As with a lot of my other scores, they've been wrong for a lot of this season. So that completes the NFL portion. But yeah, they haven't really given an update as a clear, obvious um, notion as to how long Jaden Daniels is out once again. Um, so but I will continue to keep doing research on it and whatnot, and we'll try to give you updates as soon as I get them, um, or as soon as I see them. I'll try to update you guys as soon as I can. Um, but yeah, kind of a huge weekend coming out of the NFL, and we'll take a look at these a little bit deeper once. But I guess this, excuse me, I guess this is kind of set um, for the AFC because it's both NFC teams playing tonight. But this is what the AFC's standings and potential playoff um, standings will kind of look like going into playoffs if it were to happen today. The Chiefs would be actually just out, I think, because it's 7 teams with one team getting the bye. So as of right now, if the season were to end today, the Chiefs would just barely not make it to the playoffs as being a 5-4 team. Not to say that it's huge. There's plenty of games left to be played for all of these teams. Whole another 8 weeks, so um, we'll see what happens. But looks to looks to me like it's gonna be Chiefs need to find a way to get into playoffs here because with how many games that are left, it's gonna be tough for them to get back into it if all the teams ahead of them are just gonna find ways to keep winning as well. So um, we'll see. But anyhow, moving into the NBA, we got a lot of key games coming out of the NBA going over the weekend. Um, Starting off with the Bulls getting their first loss of the season, unfortunately, going into Madison Square Garden and facing the New York Knicks. Uh, Looks like they ended up falling behind in the first quarter, breaking down the deficit going into half. They were down by, I believe it's, if my math is correct, that's like 8 points going into half, and then it was all uh, it was all the Knicks. From there, you got your top scorers from that game. Jalen Brunson ended up having himself a night after 32 minutes of play, had 31 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, uh, 10 of 22 from the field, 4 of 11 from three, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. So a huge night from Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns into the night with a double double. Excuse me. After 36 minutes of play, ended up with 20 points, 15 boards, 5 assists, two blocks. Excuse me. Uh, 5 of 11 from the field, so not a huge accuracy night from Towns, but 2 of 3 from three and 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. So he made up for his poor mid-range game, if you will, for his three-pointer and his shots at the free throw line. So, and then following right behind him was OG Anunoby, who ended the night after 35 minutes of play with 21 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And, 8 of 17 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So that's a huge contribution from the Knicks there. We got top scorers coming off the bench: Jordan Clarkson and Josh Hart. Josh Hart in the night after 26 minutes of play with 14 points, 9 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal. 5 of 10 for the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 of 3 from the charity stripe. So huge contribution coming off the bench from Josh Hart. And Jordan Clarkson, after 18 minutes of play, had 15 points and 2 assists, 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. So not as much of a contribution the rest of the way, but still had a huge 15 points to contribute to this game. So big night from him. Looking at the Bulls, holy cow, they had all their starters show up in double figures. You got Josh Giddey, who ended the night with a triple-double. After 38 minutes of play, he had 23 points, 11 boards, 12 assists, 2 steals, 10 of 19 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So huge night from Josh Giddey as he stays hot and tries to keep his team hot. Unfortunately, they ended up falling short. But also key contribution from the Bulls came from Nikola Vucevic, who ended up with a double-double. He had, after 32 minutes of play, had 17 points, 14 boards, 4 assists, 1 block, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So huge night from Vucevic as well. Trey Jones ended the night with 15 points. Mataz Buzelis ended the night with 14 points, and same with Isaac Okoro, who ended the night with 14 points as well. So huge contribution all around from the starters, who all ended up at double figures in terms of points, but ultimately fell short of trying to get a win in Madison Square Garden. Top scorers coming off the bench for the Bulls: Jalen Smith and Patrick Williams. Jalen Smith, after 16 minutes of play, had 12 points, 5 boards, nothing the rest of the way, but was 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Didn't really do much from the charity stripe, unfortunately. And then going into Patrick Williams' stats from last night, he ended the night after 26 minutes of play with 11 points, 2 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, and 3 of 4 from the charity stripe. So not as many points, but still contributed elsewhere, which, ultimately the Bulls ended up falling short, ended up getting their first loss of the season, but learning moment for the Bulls, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do coming out of their rest day from today. And I think they play at home against the Sixers tomorrow, so I'm looking to make that prediction very quickly, very soon. But yeah, the Knicks ended up taking the win at home against the Bulls and hand the Bulls the first loss of the season yesterday. 128 to 116, the final in Madison Square Garden. Before I get on to the next game, as the Thunder stays hot and we get into some previews from tonight's games coming out of the NBA, I'd like to remind all of you guys that are on the other platforms, Twitch, YouTube, X, all those other platforms. I have no control over how long those streams are going to stay live. So if you haven't already, head on over to Rumble. And while you're heading on over to Rumble, download the Rumble app. You can download it on your phone, your tablet, your any of your TVs, or just any devices that you can download stuff on. Um, it's your one-stop shop for not only myself, but for um, all key um, streamers across the board, including Dr. Disrespect, Louder with Crowder, um, Vince, Russell Brand, Tim Pool, and the Timcast IRL show. You got all of them. Um, but yeah, Rumble is also the one place that I know it's going to stay up 100%, just because I'm basically streaming from Rumble, but doing the multicast from Rumble. So, um, excuse me, head on over to Rumble, and I'll try to get replies out as soon as I can. Um, but appreciate every single one of you guys for um, heading down in there and hitting that follow button, or just watching. If you guys are just watching, you guys are amazing as well, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll kind of get into what another another hot team coming into uh, a new week for the NBA. The Thunder stay hot, and the Pelicans stay cold. Uh, as they end up having fun in OKC. Can we get? I'm not trying to move a website over. What are we doing here? Um, Huge contributions across the board from the Thunder, as it looks like. I thought somebody wasn't getting the start. Oh, Lou Dort didn't get the start. He must be out with an injury. I guess we'll get into injuries here in a second. Um, is there injuries? I thought there was an injuries tab. What the heck? Yeah, he must have gotten injured or something. Oh, there it is. Where's the Thunder, 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 Thunder? Where are you? Oh, there we go. He was ruled out yesterday versus the Pelicans. Interesting. And then Osman Jang. I don't know if that's how you say it. I'm sorry. Sustained a calf contusion in Sunday's game against the Pelicans and did not return. So I don't know. He might be in on Tuesday. Who knows? But anyhow, key contributions from the starters of the Oklahoma City Thunder ended up being your usual suspect. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, after 30 minutes of play, had 30 points. Go figure. 2 boards, 7 assists, 1 steal, 8 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 13 of 13 from the charity stripe. So a huge night from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as he's continuing from his MVP caliber season last season and looking to make a repeat of this season. I think he's at least wanting to try to make a case for it as of right now. Another key contributor from the starters of OKC ended up being Isaiah Hartenstein, who ended up with a double-double. After 26 minutes of play, had 14 points, 14 boards, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from the charity stripe. So a huge night from Hartenstein as he notched up the double-double. Aaron Wiggins ended the night after 26 minutes of play with 15 points, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 block, 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. So as Hartenstein didn't contribute from the 3, Aaron Wiggins made upped a little bit of the slack there, I guess, if you will. Well, I guess there really wasn't slack. If Shea Gilgeous-Alexander didn't play, this game is a 1-point game. Because my math, I know I'm not completely smart at math and stuff like that, but still a huge night from the Thunder. So key contributor. I mean, all the starters ended up in double figures for the Thunder, so that's a huge uh, that's a huge night from the starters from the Thunder. Top scorer coming off the bench wasn't Alex Caruso, actually, is Isaiah Joe. After he played 27 minutes, had 13 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 5 of 12 from the field, and 2 of 3 from 3. Or no, that's the wrong player. My bad. He ended up with 5 of 12 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3. So a little bit more of a higher accuracy night. He could have notched up probably 20 points, if not more. Um, but not really needed though, because the Thunder ended up getting the win at home and was a much needed win for sure, to stay hot and not not get a loss in their record. Uh, as far as I'm aware, outside of the Thunder, they might be. I think they might be the only unbeaten team left. Maybe I think, unless no, because it was the Bulls, the Thunder, and no. I was covering this last week. I know this. Crap. No, it wasn't the Cavs because the Cavs have lost a couple of games. Oh, it was the Spurs because I think it's the Spurs and the. Oh no, they did end up losing a game. So yeah, the Thunder is the only unbeaten team left. Oh, they must have. Oh, you know what? That's right, because I think they ended up losing their last game against the Suns. That's right. That's right. Because I was even surprised by that score too. What the heck? So, yep, I was right. Thunder is the only unbeaten, and they stay unbeaten to this point of the season, 7 games in, and they are staying hot. For the Pelicans, unfortunately, uh, fell short, but top scorer coming out of the Pelicans, starters anyway, ended up being Zion Williamson, who after 28 minutes of play had 20 points, 9 boards, so he almost notched up a double double, 6 assists, 1 steal, 7 of 14 from the field, and 6 of 12 from the charity stripe. So decent contribution from him. Um, and I kind of feel bad for Zion Williamson because, as good of a player as he is, unfortunately his team just keeps falling short to start out the season and have 6 straight losses. So oh, that's out. Okay, good, 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 good. You're out of our hot mix. That's good. And then another contributor to try to keep the Pelicans in this game was Trey Murphy III, who ended the night after 32 minutes of play with 19 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 7 of 13 from the field, 5 of 10 from threes. So another key night from him, but uh, unfortunately fell short as the Thunder end up taking the win 137 to 136, or excuse me, 137 to 106 in the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. Um, yeah, what can go wrong? We'll be moving on into potential matchups and potential key matchups coming into tonight. Um, I'm just going to kind of gloss over some of these real quick. Some of these games are going to be on different TVs, so the Timberwolves in Brooklyn is going to be on Peacock if you want to catch that game. Um, my personal opinion, I don't think this game is going to be close at all. Um, I think Brooklyn, there's not really a ton of key players that I am aware of coming out of Brooklyn, and the Nets are the Nets are winless coming into this game, and I think it's going to stay that way to continue into their season, unfortunately, because they're facing a tough team. I think even without Anthony Edwards, I think this is going to stay in favor of the Timberwolves, unfortunately. Another key game that's going to be on TV is going to be the Lakers against Portland. This one's going to be a key matchup. We'll get into, you know what? We'll get into it. We'll get into that game here in a little bit. But for the most part, I think the Lakers might win this game because, especially if Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are playing, Austin Reeves is hot and excuse me, Austin Reeves is playing like his ass is on fire, and looking to try to make a case for him to be part of that MVP conversation. Um, Obviously, it's early, like super early in the season, but look to Austin Reeves to continue that trend throughout the rest of the season. And that game's going to be tipping off at 7 p.m. on NBA TV. Give me just like 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I will clear up my lenses real quick because I'm getting some distractions in my eyes. But anyhow, let's see. Milwaukee going into Indiana. Their season, Indiana season has started off pretty rough, and I think it's going to continue again tonight as Milwaukee comes into town, especially if Giannis is going to be in. If Giannis is not in, this might be closer of a game than am I'd be willing to predict. Um, just the fact just the fact that they still don't have Tyrese Halliburton, and they're probably not going to have him for the rest of the season. It's not looking good for Indiana in terms of how well that they've been playing from the turnaround from them making the NBA Finals from a season ago. So look to the Pacers to still try to play well. I mean, as far as I remember, they still have injuries across the board too. So it's going to be tough for the Pacers to really, really crack down on trying to find ways to win, especially if they don't have key players healthy and on the court playing. So look to the Pacers to probably um, not play as well, but keep this game close. Especially if Giannis doesn't play. If Giannis does play, then I think this game is a wraps for for the Pacers anyway. Um, looking into a later window slate, tipping off at 4:30 in the TD Garden in Boston. Uh, the Celtics are going to be hosting the Jazz, and I think this matchup, depending on who's injured, is going to be kind of key in this one, mainly because you got you got I can't remember. You got Jaylen Brown, who's potentially, if he's not injured, he's probably going to play well. And then Lauri Markkanen is probably going to, try to find a way to at least keep this game close. The Jazz have, I think the Jazz are a comeback team this season, but I think they're going to fall short tonight against the Boston Celtics. if I take one of the L's on the prediction tonight, it would probably be the Jazz against the Celtics. If I'm gonna, hedge my bets and guess correctly here. Um, Also tipping off in Madison Square Garden is going to be the Knicks hosting the Washington Wizards. I would say it's going to be another key night from Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, even though they played last night against the Bulls and found a way to notch a win. I don't think Bradley Beal and the Wizards are going to have enough to um, force the Knicks to take a loss. I think with them playing yesterday, it's going to be a little bit of some of the players from the Knicks are going to be a little bit tired, but with the day off, or no, I think with the day off coming up though, I think because I think they don't play tomorrow. Um, look to the Knicks to still win this game, but I think this game's going to be a little bit closer than a lot of people realize that it's going to be, especially with how well that the Knicks have been playing in terms of like a back to back. They don't teams typically don't, as far as I'm aware, don't typically play well from a back to back. But I could totally be wrong. Back to backs might actually work more in favor of the team that is playing back to back games. So who knows? Um, And then looking into a later window, you got Dallas going into Houston. Um, I think this one is kind of a toss up between both teams. Both teams have been playing well coming into this season, um, even though their records don't really show for it much. Where is it? Yeah, even though, what was I looking at? Yeah, Rockets in Dallas. So that means they're down. They're down here. I mean, as of right now, it's very early, but they're still middle of the pack in terms of where they're at. Because this is against Dallas, right? Oh no, I take that back. Houston Houston is looking to stay in the middle of the uh, pack in their conference. Why do I still? Oh no, that's not it. It's this one. Can I click on the right tabs, please? Thank you. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a key game for Houston to stay in the middle of the pack here, and I think they're gonna find a way to um, notch a win, especially at home. It's gonna be uh, it's gonna be hard for them to kind of top off the um, or I wouldn't say it's gonna be hard for them to. Well, they have a tough matchup in Dallas, even though the record doesn't really show that they're a tough matchup. They got Cooper Flag, who's I'm not going to say been hot, but he's kind of one of the key storylines coming into this game, especially since he was the number one draft coming out of the NBA draft this past offseason. But also look to, I want to say it's Daniel Gafford and Kyrie Irving is still out, so um, trying to think looking up without looking anything up. Um, Shoot, Clay Thompson. Look to Clay Thompson to keep a good head on his shoulders and mentoring the young buck and Cooper Flag. I mean, I would say this game's probably going to be close. If Dallas ends up winning this game, it's going to be a close game for sure. I'm not going to say that if the Rockets are going to win this game, it's going to be a blowout because I don't think it is. Especially if the key players from um, Dallas play well, this is going to be a lot closer um, than I originally think, anyway. Um, But anyhow, look to Houston to try to um, stay in the middle of the pack in terms of trying to find a way to notch up a win tonight. Um, Detroit versus coming up also in the later window. Detroit going into Memphis. Pistons are looking hot, and I think they're going to stay hot. John Morant is still playing decently well for the Memphis Grizzlies, but look to Kate Cunningham and the rest of the crew from the Pistons to um, find a way to shut down John Morant and the Grizzlies in Memphis. Uh, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a runaway victory for Detroit, but um, yeah, I would say this is probably gonna be a little bit closer also than a lot of people may realize. But it's an interleague matchup. Um, Pistons are looking to try to stay decently of um, on top of their division and conference. So look to the Pistons to try to play big. Uh, and then coming into the later stages of this evening, as the Sacramento Kings go into Denver. This one's also probably going to be a key matchup that a lot of people are going to realize is going to be close all the way through. Um, I would say, I mean, a lot of people would say this isn't going to be close, but since all the starters, as far as I'm aware, are healthy for Denver, um, okay, never mind. It looks like they got a couple of guys that are on day to day right now. Jamal Murray is on day to day with a calf injury, and Cameron Johnson's on day to day with a shoulder. Both listed as probable for tonight, but I think even with that, I'm taking the Nuggets just because Nikola Jokic is still. Um, I mean, he's coming off of a big season last season and starting off this season with as much of a bang as he had last season. So um, look to the Nuggets to feed off of Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon. Um, look to both of those guys to have a huge night, especially if Jamal Murray and Cameron Jordan can't play. But a little bit more into that breakdown a little later. Um, and then Lakers versus Trailblazers. This one's also going to be a key matchup to watch because the Portland Trailblazers, man, they've been playing a lot better than I expected. Um, but they have a Trailblazers. I mean, they've been playing decent, and looked at this game to kind of. I'm not gonna say one team's gonna run away with it, but I think the Lakers, this especially if Luka Doncic is in and playing, this one might be a runaway in favor of the Lakers. So um, look to um, we'll kind of get more into the breakdown on this as well. And then last game tip off at 7:30 p.m. I believe it's Pacific Standard Time, which would mean that it would be 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Um, and we'll get more into this game as well as the Miami Heat coming into the Clippers. Um, yeah, it's I would say it's a key matchup. I think Tyler Hero is still out for the Heat, but I think James Harden and the Clippers, regardless of Tyler Hero being in or out, is gonna make um, is gonna have some fun uh, against Bam Adebayo and the Heat and the crew for the Heat. So we'll get a little bit more into a breakdown here in just 1 second here. But kind of going back to a game that I kind of think it's going to be, kind of a clash, if you will, is going to be the Detroit Pistons against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is tipping off at 5 p.m. Uh, both teams kind of close in terms of records, so they're trying to Grizzlies are trying to or coming into this game looking to try to make hay and try to get to over or be at exactly 500 to start or about to come into week 3 of the NBA season. And and Detroit's looking to stay hot and keep grinding hot in as they have started out the season 4-2. Like I was kind of saying earlier, look to Cade Cunningham, and let me kind of take a look at some of their players that might play tonight. Looks like Tobias Harris is on day to day right now. Where's the injury? Detroit Pistons. Tobias Harris is on day to day with an ankle injury. Looks like Marcus Sasser is out with a hip injury. But Tobias Harris is questionable for tonight's game. If he doesn't play tonight, I'm not sure that that's going to sway one way or the other. But it looks like the Pistons also have Duncan Robinson, Azur Thompson, and Jalen Duren. If Tobias Harris doesn't play, I would say either Ronald Holland or Isaiah Stewart might end up getting the start. Yeah, I think that's kind of it from the potential starting lineup here for the Pistons. But yeah, this one's going to be on Sports Nation, it looks like. But I mean, this one's going to be a clash. This one's going to be a fun one to watch, I think. And I think I'd be hard pressed if one of these teams ends up coming away with a huge margin of victory outside of, I would say, 10 points. Because I think this one's going to stay within 10 points. Just because of not only the key non-conference matchup, but in terms of where both these teams are sitting at as of right now in terms of the standings and stuff like that. I know it's a long season ahead for for everybody regardless, but in terms of whether or not certain teams are going to be setting the edge, this could be a key factor come later in the season in terms of which one of these teams is going to make or break. Well, actually, I kind of take that back. It wouldn't make or break, I don't think, unless tiebreakers kind of forces themselves. But outside of that, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue for either of these teams in terms of a win or lose. But obviously, you want to get the win to try to, keep yourselves not only where you're at in the standings, but try to boost yourself up. Like if, say, because I think the Pistons are like 4th in the Eastern Conference right now. If they would take a win tonight, they could probably bump themselves up to like 2nd or 3rd in the Eastern Conference tonight. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be huge night for the Pistons to try to stay on top. But yeah, look to this game to stay close. Another game tipping off right at the same time. Oh my goodness. I don't know that I agree with that, but maybe it's because of the injuries. Oh, that's right. Anthony Davis is on this team. That's right. I completely forgot about that trade. But it looks like a lot of key starters are out for the Dallas Mavericks coming into tonight. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at who they have out. It looks like Anthony Davis's return is not going to happen until potentially November 5th. He's out with a calf injury. He was out for Saturday against the Pistons. He's out tonight against the Rockets. They got Dante Exum also on this. And he's been ruled out for tonight's game with a knee injury. Same with Derek Lively the second. And it looks like their returns are not going to happen potentially until Wednesday, November 5th, when they play. Let me 1 second. When they play. Does not show their schedule here. Give me another 30 seconds. Hello. Vote for me, please. Thank you. When they lay host to the New Orleans Pelicans, and that would honestly, that's a key. That's a key one in my personal opinion. That for, I mean, obviously for tonight they want to try to win this one, but if they've already ruled a couple of their starters out for tonight, then um, I don't know. This one could be wraps. This one couldn't be wraps. I mean, um, I would say with the key starters being out, look to Cooper Flag to still stay hot, um, as the rookie tries to um, as the rookie tries to continue to have fun with not only himself but Klay Thompson and PJ Washington. Um, Najee Marshall and Daniel Gafford might end up getting the start tonight. Dwight Powell might end up being a key factor coming off the bench. Same with D'Angelo Russell. Um, Dwight Powell's been in the league for a while, and he has had a lot of strides coming up for him. But I mean, I don't. This the matchup predictor from ESPN Analytics is wanting me to think that this one is going to be Houston running away with a huge victory coming out of this, but I don't think that that's the case. I mean, yes, I think the Rockets are going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout, if you will, as I think the predictor is kind of saying. Uh, Looks like Atlanta has picked a new skipper, the Atlanta Braves. Anyhow, let's see. Space City Home Network, huh? Oh, because it's in Houston, so it's going to be on their local network, basically. Awesome. But anyhow, yeah, I would say look to this game to kind of be a little bit closer, than I think this game the predictor is making it seem like it's going to turn out to be. So, with that, I'm going to move on to one of the later games that I wasn't thinking of wanting to cover, um, but now kind of already looking into it, I'm going to cover this because uh, both both teams only have 2 losses. Inter, yeah, I believe it's interconference matchup because both are in the West Conference, I believe. Yes, there is a 3 versus 4 matchup coming into tonight, and boy was I kind of very skeptical, not spectacle, skeptical of how well the Portland Trail Blazers have played to this point. It's going to be in Portland, but look to the Lakers to try to get, I guess, a revenge game, if you will, because they ended up falling short um, earlier last week against the Trail Blazers in LA. So again, kind of look to Austin Reeves. Let me kind of look at the Lakers. Um, Doncic is out for tonight. Oh my goodness, what? How are both these guys out for tonight? What the heck? Are we serious right now? With what? I mean, DeAndre Ayton is out with a back injury, or at least he was out for yesterday's game, but what the heck? There's no way he's out. There's no way that both of them are out for tonight. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Austin Reeves and Gabe Vincent and Luka Doncic all listed as out for tonight. Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Right groin soreness is what the status of Austin Reeves is right now. That is wild. No wonder they're having the projection so close. My gosh. What the heck? Rest? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? In a 3-4 matchup? In a 3 versus 4 matchup this early in the season? Oh my gosh. Okay. See, this is. You know what? Screw it. This might be a bad. This might have been a bad prediction for me today. My goodness. Holy shit. I'm sorry for cursing, ladies and gentlemen, but my gosh. That gets me upset. That gets me upset. I'm sorry. I mean I get it. He's the star of your team. If he has an injury that he needs to be nursing, that's fine. But for rest, are you kidding me? Like, what the heck? So that means that probably it's going to be Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia to get the start. And if DeAndre Ayton can't play, then, I mean, Portland might end up notching the win. Like, what are we. LA Lakers, what are we doing here? You don't have LeBron James, and Austin Reeves is out with the. Oh my gosh. They don't even have him in their depth chart. They don't even have LeBron James in their depth chart. Wait, what just happened over the weekend? Oh. Okay, so it looks like it's still. I was gonna say, did they like completely take him off their roster? Like, I mean, obviously there hasn't been any big news from him, but golly, that just. I'm sorry, that just gets me mad. That just gets me so mad. Like you're just gonna rest. You're gonna rest one of your key guys in a key game. This is a key game right here. Okay, I know a lot of people might not think that way, but Portland is coming into this game fourth in the conference right now, as you guys can kind of see. And for those that are on visual right now, like for those of you on audio, look up the NBA standings right now. The Portland Trailblazers are at number 4, right behind the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a key game. Both teams are coming into this game with 2 losses. Like this is with a loss tonight, they could get bumped down into the middle of the conference. Like, and you're resting one of your key stars. Like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know. This game might still be close without the Stars in tonight, but I don't know. Portland might end up finding a way to notch a win at home outside of the Stars for the Lakers not playing tonight. Like, my goodness, I'm upset. I'm upset by that. That's because they got Drew Holiday, Shaden Sharp, Denny Avidja, and Donovan Clingham. I don't know how to say their player that's playing at the 3 spot tonight, but oh my gosh. If Shaden Sharp doesn't play tonight, it's probably going to be Chris Murray that gets the nod at the starting role at the number 2 spot in the starting lineup. But yeah, with that in mind, it's probably going to be the Trailblazers that end up getting the win tonight. I'm sorry. I'm so upset by that. That just that gets on my nerves. Like you're you're resting a guy just to rest him. I mean, I get it. He did start out this season with a couple of different injuries, I think. So I can kind of understand it a little bit, but when you just say that it's rest, it makes it sound like you're just resting a guy just to rest him and he doesn't have an injury. Like if he doesn't have an injury, freaking play. Like come on. I mean, anyhow, I'm sorry. I'm done ranting about the same thing over and over again. So I'm moving on. Um, Denver Nuggets are going to be coming in to this game later tonight that tips off at 6 p.m. I believe it's Pacific Standard Time. I could be wrong, but it might end up being. But it might end up being 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, key guys that are going to be uh, playing huge for the Denver Nuggets. Looked at Jamal Murray, obviously, but Jamal Murray's on day to day, so who knows? Same with Cameron Johnson. If both of those guys end up getting ruled out for tonight's game, look to Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. to get the nod for the start. And then also Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic, like I was kind of saying earlier, look to both of those guys to be playing big tonight. I think Nikola Jokic is going to find a way to notch up a triple double, and look to Jonas Valanciunas to have a key contribution coming off the bench. Some of these other guys, I'm not really familiar with their gameplay as of right now, but also obviously look to the bench to kind of make a difference for the Denver Nuggets in this game as well. Because I'm not really expecting the starters for the Nuggets to play a full 48-minute game. But for the Kings, when you look at their starting lineup coming into tonight, you got Dennis Schroeder at the 1, Russell Westbrook at the 2, Zach LaVine at the 3, DeMar DeRozan at the 4, and Domantas Sabonis at the 5. So, again, I don't think that this game is going to be one that the Nuggets are going to come away running away with in terms of winning this game. But because in my personal opinion, I think Russell Westbrook kind of did a little dirty in LA, and I think Dennis Schroeder is kind of the same deal here. This is going to be a key matchup to try to see who. I think this is a key matchup for the Kings in general, just because I want to see Russell Westbrook come back into prime triple double Russell Westbrook. Like I think he can do it, but I think he's also done it for so many seasons as well that he might be starting to look like he's coming into his last years. But he did play well for the Denver Nuggets last season as well, so don't get it twisted. Uh, but I mean, he also is 36 as well, so he might also not play as many minutes coming into tonight. So who knows? But again, I think they got a strong. I think the Kings have a strong lineup, but how well everyone performs together, it's going to be. It remains to be seen, and this might be one that we'll see tonight, where everything kind of clicks for the Kings, and they might end up get an upset tonight. So um, we'll see. But uh, with that in mind, if anything, I think this game is going to stay close all the way through. I would say probably under 10 points is going to be the final score in terms of the point differential. I don't think it's 11. I don't think it's 11 and a half in terms of the spread. Um, yeah, I don't think it's 11 and a half, but I could be wrong. Um, we'll see. That one will tip off later tonight, but also coming into, I think this is the last game that tips off tonight. Yeah, because the Portland Trail Blazers and the Lakers end up tipping off at 7 p.m. Whew, excuse me. Pacific Standard Time. This one's going to be tipping off at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And looks like the Clippers are looking for the fourth straight win. You got a Kawhi Leonard versus Bam Adebayo matchup. And Clippers are looking to keep their hot winning streak at home alive. Um, Miami Heat are playing pretty decent to start out the season. We got James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, and Derrick Jones Jr. and Ivica Zubac as the starters. You kind of got yourself a kind of a Milwaukee Bucks uh, bench for the Clippers. Is Chris Dunn and Bodan Bogdanovic and Brook Lopez um, are going to be potential coming off the bench for the Clippers. I think Brook Lopez is going to have himself a night coming off the bench for the Clippers. Um, but yeah, look to all the starters to potentially show up in double figures. I think the one person that might not but contribute in different ways is going to be Derrick Jones Jr. I think he is newer to the league. I think, yeah, he's a little newer to the league, but um, has been in the season almost 10 seasons. So um, still a solid. I mean, and I think he's had. Well, I don't want to speculate, but I think he's had solid outings and solid seasons nonetheless. Um, but yeah, James Harden and Bradley Beal, obviously, I think both of them are going to look to um, have some fun tonight as the Heat come into this game 3-3. They oh shit. Just go to the depth chart, please. Thank you. They have Norman Powell out. They got Andrew Wiggins and Bam Adebayo and Davion Mitchell. So it looks like probably Pell Larson. I think that's how you say his name, Pell Larson, um, is going to get the nod for the start in LA. But who knows? Yeah, I would say the Clippers are probably. I'm not gonna. I'm predictions for this game. I don't think. Shoot. I don't think that the Clippers are going to. I think this is going to come down to like the last 5 minutes of this game because of how close it's going to stay all the way through. Obviously, I think it's going to stay within 10 points. I think there's going to be more or less kind of a 5 point margin between both of these teams all the way through. And this could also potentially be a huge like defensive matchup. So I could, I could, I'd be willing to bet that in terms of a final score, both these teams might end up not scoring 100 in the triple digits between both. Um, in terms of both these teams scoring 100 points each. So uh, I would, yeah, I'd be willing to bet that, I think the Clippers are going to find a way to win, but I think it's going to be one of those games where, because of where they're sitting at position wise, so I think both of them are also in key spots. Yeah, because Miami Heat is at 6, and you got the Clippers at 5. So both of these guys are in key spots in their conferences right now. Still early on in the season, so I get it. Some of you guys are probably like, um, I, as far as I'm aware, um, going to be hard for. Um, I think it's going to be hard for the for the Heat to um, solidly win this game. But I think it's going to be, um, yeah, I think it's going to be a solid outing for the Clippers, and it's a good matchup to basically start out this season, I think, and um, yeah, just look to the Clippers to end up winning this one. And I think the Clippers, because they're at 5 games, I think they're going to be playing again tomorrow too. So this might be, yeah, because they play at home against OKC. So this might be one where, for the Clippers, um, if this game does get out of hand for the in terms of the Clippers, kind of running away with this one, look to the starters uh, to get their rest early, so that they end up getting rested to um, host the Thunder tomorrow uh, when they host the Thunder tomorrow night. So yeah, this game's probably going to be close, but I don't know. Who knows? Norman Powell looks like they got Terry Rozier out. Uh, Kasparis is out as well. Um, but yeah, I think that with all that information and everything happening over the weekend, if there's not any chats for me to go through, um, uh, unfortunately, I wasn't reading the Twitch chat there, Charlotte, so I apologize. Uh, I kind of have a set thing that I'm doing with this show, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, I gotta, especially for a Monday show, I kind of have a lot of stuff to run through. So my apologies for not getting to your chat soon enough. Um, but anyhow, if there's no other chats, I think I'm gonna send you guys off. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate every single one of you. Well, so before we go, I got a couple of things real quick for you guys before I cut this off. If you aren't on Rumble already, especially if you're on like Twitch and YouTube and X, because finally got the X stream to go live, so yes. Um, and then, so if you aren't on any of those platforms, or excuse me, if you aren't on Rumble already, download the Rumble app on any of your devices, your phone, your tablet, your TV. Um, Download it and hit the follow button. Once you find the Luke Boyd Show on Rumble, you can download it pretty much anywhere that you can download stuff. But yeah, you can just watch me there. Uh, this shows weekdays 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's that. It's your one-stop. Rumble is your one-stop shop for not only myself, but everybody from the Rumble lineup. You got Vince, you got Russell Brand, you got Tim Cass, you got Steven Crowder, you got Doctor Disrespect, you got every and anybody that you can kind of name and see. Um, but with that, uh, really appreciate all of you guys for joining in. Before we go, if you guys wouldn't mind, I would like to end this in a prayer real quick. But yeah, thank you all for joining me today. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, I thank you for another amazing uh, start to the week. As every single person, not only myself, but those that are viewing this, are starting out their week with. Um, I like to um, I'd like to thank you for another day that you have given us, because each day is not given, it is earned. Um, bless, uh, bless and guide each and every uh, one of us as we go through our day and as we go throughout this week. Um, but bless and guide our thoughts and interactions. And I'd like to ask the intercession of the Virgin Mary as we go throughout this week, and um, as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Alrighty. Once again, thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for joining. I really appreciate all of you guys. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much for joining. I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time for basically a recap of what happened, what is what's going to happen later tonight, and a preview into what tomorrow's games are going to bring. So, um, yeah, once again, really appreciate every single one of you guys. I'm going to take off, so thank you so much. For those of you on audio, I'll be having that posted on Spotify here shortly. So, thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.